JB here. Hope everyone's doing outstanding. Tuesday, April 29th, 3:20 on this fine Tuesday. Just going to talk really quick about the market. Some names I'm looking at go from there. S&P off the lows, bounced around in the morning, and then finally found a bid about 1 o'clock and sitting here at 540, 554, 555, just chopping around for the last hour and a half. Thankfully, some direction, right? Not premium crush like we had yesterday. Uh, so a decent session and some names showing strength in my watch list, which a lot of even yesterday during the weekdays was 50% green. It's still maybe about a 30% red, 66% green, 33% red. That's what it kind of looks like here. And we'll see what happens here. So after the close today, POTUS is going to do his rally in the Michigan. Talk about, I mean, I was talking about it on a rant this morning. You knew he was going to roll back tariffs, so probably more details on that. And then GM will be able to issue their guidance on Thursday. Visa and some other names report after the bell today, and then tomorrow morning you get Caterpillar and some other names. And I just the more I start thinking about Coca-Cola today, the more I start to think like some of the names that announce earnings are going to use that word manage, right? I just think they're going to be able some of these names are going to say we're going to manage the tariffs, and whether that's they bear the costs, the person who's exporting bears the costs, and then minimize the impact on the consumer. You would hope, right? So we'll see how this all plays out here. Yeah, and then there's rumors that there's going to be an announcement with a deal with India. There definitely needs to be some kind of momentum with deals, right? This just got to happen. So take a look at SPY. We're pretty much at the highs here. The lowest 548.55, so a decent trading range. Take a look at the VIX under 25. It has been under 25 and since the start of April, pretty much. And then you start looking. I mean, the S&P is going to be up 6 days in a row, on the verge of 7 tomorrow. We'll see what happens here tomorrow. I forget Ryan Dietrich or UPB posted something in regards to a record, like it's only happened 2 times, 7 day rally, but at end of the month in April. And now you'll start to see the headlines, right? Sell in May and go away comes up every year. And I can't think of the time besides maybe it was 2022 where the sell in May and go away didn't work out too well. Maybe 2015. I think we had a bad summer then. So I mean, certainly there's opportunity here, right? If the deals don't work out, there's a bigger hit to the economy than if all that comes to fruition, then yeah, it's gonna be a rough summer, right? So can't rule all that out, but on the flip side, I still think as long as we ratchet some things out, I think I'm still somewhat optimistic, right? Fairly optimistic, I guess you would say. I think as we go forward too in the weeks, especially if the situation with China doesn't work out, you're going to see more headlines similar to what happened with the eggs, right? The egg-demic, I guess you would call it, right? I don't want to trivialize the pandemic side, but the whole talk was about eggs, and that kind of went away, and now it's going to be about like holes on shelves in shopping centers, right? That's going to happen at some point. And, we already saw it today, right? With Amazon, you had this morning reports that they were going to put how much the product price increase based on tariffs. Supposedly that was only going to be with their haul segment, right? And maybe it wasn't approved, who knows? But I'm sure there'll be more chatter around that as the deals deals don't play out, right? If the deals start to get resolved, I think that'll start to get back to the we'll stop seeing some of the stuff. Anyway, so needs to say that's the overall market. Take a look at VIX under 25. So now just some individual names. So I don't know if it was because of Spotify earnings, but Roku just took off right at the open. So it almost looked like it was a news event. I don't know if it was pent up buyers, but it was 68 and change at the open, and then next thing you know, at 9:33, it's 71 and change. So use the move to lock some of my calls out for well, there's earnings this week. I got the monthly strikes, which gives gives myself an opportunity to for time, but I don't want to be in a spot where you just never know with Roku. So I locked some of them in for a little over 100%. I'll hold the rest. I probably am going to hold into earnings. I got the May 16th. So even if it doesn't have the best earnings and there is a premium crush, it's not like I have to hope for a massive rally on Friday or just write them off. I still have an opportunity. I keep saying, and you take a look at it's 72 and change is a big spot there. It's both the 50 and the 200-day moving average. Gets over that, I just think it's going to head higher. So that's the thought process there. I'll continue to hold those. And then, I was talking about Pfizer this morning. They had earnings, clip on their transcript talking about looking for M&A inside the weight loss segment. And I don't know where else to set it, but they're looking to do 2 to 3 deals this week. This year would be nice if this week. You have to think, right? I mean, the probabilities of M&A in the weight loss sector just went up. It doesn't matter which name it is. The probability, if it was 0%, it's more than 0% now. If it was 10%, maybe it's 11, but 12. But moral of the story, it's higher than it was yesterday, and it's higher than it was last week, and so you see some of these names running up in the GLP-1 space, and VKTX already had an upgrade or initiation this morning. Cantor Fitzgerald, there was $100 price target. Truist has, like all these analysts have 100 plus price targets on VKTX. The stock is off 70% from its all-time highs. I just think it's an opportunity. So I went and got those strikes. This way it was trading at 27, and boom, off to the races. All the way up into the 29s, almost hit $30. Again, similar to Roku, I mean, as much as I want to hold on the entire position, makes sense, especially in this environment, to lock some in. So I put some up at 100%, boom, filled some in for 100% to cover costs. I'll hold the rest. I don't know if I'll add any more just yet, but similar to what's going on with Roku. Roku's not over its 50-day moving average just yet, but VKTX hasn't been over its 50-day moving average since back in November, and that's when it was $60. So the trend is your friend, right? So the trend seems to be to the upside. I think this continues, especially if it breaks over $30. So I'll continue to hold those. Also, with that, GPCR is rallying. So it's up nearly 10% here today. I was hoping the calls will be up more than they are now. I was actually looking at some later strikes too, but I'll just be patient. I was talking about yesterday with the possible consolidation for the next leg, and sure enough, we get the catalyst with Pfizer this morning. I think it trades up near 30 in the coming week or two. So I'll just hold the rest. I'll hold the calls when I get a chance. I'll lock some in, similar to what I've done with VKTX to cover costs for 100%, ride the rest. That's GPCR. And then Travelzoo. And, if you were listening to rants earlier this year, well, at the end of last year, I was a very bullish, uber bullish on Travelzoo because their model, right? So, this is one of the OG of travel. Back in the day, I used to trade it. It's like kind of under the radar, small micro cap, right? 100 plus $1 million market cap, or maybe it's a little more than that. But the company's kind of like lackluster, right? Not doing much. Growth has been minimal. Hits with the pandemic, finally got back to pandemic levels. But now they're rolling out a membership program and a membership tier. So they had to balance that with the advertiser, right? Because right now they're pretty much Groupon for travel. That's probably not the best analogy, but it's kind of how it is. So they get paid mostly on the advertiser side. So the advertisers give them the deals they give to the members of Travelzoo, and so on and so forth. So you want to go, there's a oversupply or there's not enough people on an airplane going to Greece in August and the hotel and whatever deal they figure it out with the cost, and then they offer that to their members. Travelzoo does that, and now they're offering $40 as part of to be a member of Travelzoo. So the first part is, I think the initial members who've been existing get it for free for the first 3 months, and then it'll be $40, and it looks like phenomenal. Well, at least we'll find out more as the weeks and months progress. But it looks like there's been a great response to that, and they've had a lot of signups. You don't see those. So the way they account for the membership fees of $40 is spread out over the 4 months, and only $1.80 of that revenue is hit in the first month. So right now, this quarter they just reported does not have the full impact of all the membership inclusions. So next quarter, which Q2, they said they're going to see substantial revenue growth. And I don't know if it's a typo. It looks like 100% growth from year over year. So 20 million to 40 million next quarter. I was talking about back in December. I'm like, even if they just captured 300,000, so they have, I think they have 6 million folks. If they just captured, 30 million. I have to go back and do the math, but I did the math. It was like 5% was doubled their revenue growth, just 5% of converting their existing freemium members to paying members. Anyway, needless to say, I'm watching as 14 and 15 spreads are a little odd on the calls. And once it got to $16, I'm like, this is good. It doesn't feel like it's baked in. I mean, stock was in the low 20s before everything went on with the tariff. So when got some June strikes, spreads are tough. I'll just I'll hold those for now. And if it continues to run tomorrow, I might look for some more calls. But I really like this one. I mean, it's $24 back in February. I mean, now it's kind of like, I wouldn't say de-risked, but it's some of the concern about, hey, are they going to be able to convert to premium was a concern. I think that's not. I think it's alleviated. So, all right, so that's Travelzoo. I'll lock some of those in, but I'll be very patient because I don't have too many. GPCR. XYZ, I mean, it's up 2% here today. Hopefully the premiums keep creeping up. I'm waiting for the calls to get 100% before I lock some of those in. And yeah, I think that's about it. Still waiting for GameStop news. You have to think at some point there's going to be an announcement, and then once it gives some clarity on what's going on with GameStop, it's going to be in the 30s and beyond. And then last but not least is Spotify. So kick myself for missing the bounce today. I was, it's at 540, 550, and then it dips at the open. It goes all the way down to 540. I'm looking at the strikes. I'm like, the only ones that looked at Tractor were the 600s. They were like 70 cents and 80 cents and $1, and the stock's at 550. I'm like, I didn't have the conviction I would do that. And then sure enough, it's all the way up here, 582, and those calls are up, 800 to 1,000%, depending if you nailed the bottom. So it is what it is, but maybe that's kind of like the trend with this earnings season. Some of these names might have dips and rips, right? Or a reversal. Intuitive Surgical had similar kind of move where weakness and then just reverse the trend. So definitely something to watch for. All right, that's it, folks. Let's have a great day. I'll be back rock and roll.